Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And what do we have today? Well, the debt thing seems to be still hanging out with us. That's for sure. It's not going away. Oh, there we are. Hey, Robin. Hey, Janos. I was just thinking of you. So the debt thing is not going away. And this one feels a little different than the rest. We've never really had a Senate and a president that doesn't care. it's very strange. Usually they find ways to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like more sympathetic, more responsible. But Biden says, he gets very inflammatory. He gets very aggressive, like starts to call them megas, and they don't care about people, and he needs to close a financial gap. This year, we've taken in more money than ever before in history in taxes. And so somehow or another in his head, it's not enough. So not only can we break the record, we need to break the record even more. But we know that when you increase taxes, taxes go down. You don't collect as much. So none of it's making any sense anymore. I think that the speaker has made a smart move. He has declared that he will meet with Biden every day until it's resolved. I don't know if Joe can handle something like that. He only works like a 4 or 5 day week. So, and he's want to go. He'll probably want to go to the beach or something like that. On Friday. It's a 3-day weekend here in the States. So, Mountain, how you doing, Mountain? So we're really in an odd situation at the moment. Like I said, I've never seen this before, and I really think this is going to end differently than others. Will it hurt the markets? Will it hurt the pairs trades? Well, that's a really too hard to say. The markets basically are already, I think what it comes down to is the spending is so high and the debt has exploded so fast, and the polls show enormous amounts of no matter what part of the political spectrum are against, the Democrats, the Republicans, and the independents. They're all unhappy about it. So, whoever Joe is satisfying is not a majority whatsoever in this country. Not at all. And so it's going to be very strange. I can't log into J4X. Huh. I got in there. So it's going to be very, very strange. They can still pay debt and not pay like salaries of politicians and so forth like that. And I get a feeling that that's where it's headed. Social Security will be paid. It might be delayed by a day or two, which is nothing, I'm sure, compared to not getting it at all. A dollar about to book new highs. I don't know. None of it makes any sense anymore. When you did those videos, Janos, about how fundamentals and how to trade them, since they only seem to have a half-life of like 3 minutes now compared to like 3 days, we're at that point that I've never seen this before. I've never seen this. I've seen budget negotiations for debt ceiling increase, a lot over the last 40 years, over the last 45 years. I've never seen it done like this before. In other words, McCarthy is, asking the president to negotiate on some level. He sends a team in there over 4 months ago at this point, asking to negotiate. And Biden says, no, not interested in negotiating. And the majority leader in the Senate says, dead on arrival. We're not opening it when they pass a budget. It's like they want to create calamity. So will people run to the dollar? Possibly. We've seen that so many times now, right? They run to the dollar. when they're concerned, even when we are the concern. Even when America is the problem, they run towards our currency. So it's very strange overall. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to 116. I kind of think that they're going to just stand around and do nothing. Honestly, the markets are selling down a little bit today, but what's 100 points down or 100 points up? Nothing. I mean, it's background noise. It's not even like it takes 1,000 points just to get 3%. 300 points for 1/3%. 100 points up or down on the Dow is like irrelevant, totally irrelevant. So I hear you. Just the fact that you're saying that makes me, like wonder what will really happen. What will they do? It's going to be interesting to see. All right. So anyway, you can see here on J4X we're in the 103s again. It's like I thought. I'd be surprised if we got through 105. But, when you say something like that, Janos, it probably falls into the category of, when in doubt, buy American. Because, you know what? The only thing that I can see that would make sense to doing that is what kind of avalanche of problems occurs in other countries when America is not throwing money around. You know what I mean? So that could be the reason why your statement makes more sense than just the surface of looking at it, like, new highs. All right, we'll talk to you later. I'll have a sip of my tea. So yeah, Giannis is probably right. There'll be strength in the dollar because when the money spigot is turned off in the United States, we don't know what countries are going to have problems, what pairs trades will have problems. It'll be interesting to see, and we're going to see it. It's going to happen one way or the other. And if you wanted to describe the Democrat Party right now, the way they govern, you almost want to say they're like kamikazes from World War II. They're willing to crash into a ship and die. In other words, they think that they can get away with this because they control the media. And they control the FBI and the Justice Department. In other words, it's they have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of weird things. Anyhow, let's get back to the charts. You can see, as I said, the dollar index is pushing up. It's going as high as 103.505. Let's see what it looks like over here. There we are. And there is the dollar index right there. That's still climbing, and it held into the buy yesterday. And even with this climb, you can see the math was trying to roll over. And the strength has really pushed it up. We're in a weekly of going on a third week. We've been in a daily buy for what's that? 5, 10. This is the 12th day. I don't know if we have any other way of describing it, but I can say this about all of it in the end, and that is that I think we're going to see something uniquely new when it comes to how they resolve this. And here's another thing that might add to the fire, I guess you could say. Mr. McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, is the most popular elected official right now in Washington. His poll numbers are really high. He's really resonating with the average person. They see what he's saying, and they're used to that type of speak, and then usually the opposition confuses things by saying the same thing even when they don't do it. But when you have an opposition that literally says, go to hell, not going to negotiate, dead on arrival, and the problem is that they can't pass a bill. That's the problem. In other words, the Senate cannot pass a bill. The president cannot get his party to pass a bill, and the only bill that's been passed is by Mr. McCarthy. So it's like, okay, he's passed a bill to raise the debt ceiling. Sign it. And that's what the people are constantly seeing, and they're like really confused why the president won't sign it at this point, because he doesn't make any sense on what he complains about. So, all right, from there, let's go over to the euro. Oh, I heard, well, I'll bring it up when I get to that currency. But let's take a look at the euro now. Euro on our wall. Right there. And it's been leaky. It's, it just keeps on finding a way to go down. You can see the yellow line is at 21. You see the green line is at 24, 25 now. It's trying to get some pressure on it on the upside. Let's put it up over here. And I know it's been trying to lift for the last couple of days up over here too. Now today it's moving back down again and trying to go after the lows of the last 3 days. And you can see here the daily is just on the edge of trying to break through. So that's why you see this thing higher than this one here on J4X. And our weekly is not really responding to any strength whatsoever. It's below the manifold with the fast and the slow. And you got to wonder, the last time it did something like that, when we finally see the fast jump up, we'll start to see some, maybe like an ascent, what they call a ascending triangle. So in other words, it'll go up and down, but it'll make new highs, or like new short-term highs and new short-term lows. In other words, it's going to what they call vacillate or oscillate. So. All right, let's see, where do we go from here? Let's go over to the British pound, see what the British pound is up to. Remember, traders, if you see something you want to talk, or you want to look at something, just shout it out. We'll go after it. There's no problem. I don't care if it's soybeans or British pound or S&Ps or gold or silver. We'll jump right to it. We have no problem jumping around. Now you can see here. And let's put it up on J4X too at the same time. Right there. Nope, that's not it. And no. Right. Where are you? Oh, there it is, right there. All right, so there it is right there. The pound is doing the same thing. It's been gliding down for a bunch of days. You can see over here we've been in a sell. We went into a sell up in here. Went into a buy for 1 day right there, and then went right back into the sell again. And we've been in a weekly sell, so you couldn't take the buy. You had to just be flat and then start over again on the short side, which seems to be paying off at the moment. And what else can we say about any of these other things about this product? The cable just seems to be, you can see here the fast and the slow are breaking down through the minus sector. We're very close to getting into that weekly sell. It's only Tuesday. When we look at it over here, you can see on the daily, we are at 24, and you can see 24.16, and the fast is at 24.55. So the green line is trying to lift up just the same way our green line here is trying to lift up. Okay, from there we go over to the Swiss franc. And there's the Swiss. And we'll put it up over on Chicago Quant. Right there. And what else can we say about that? Okay, so Swiss, a little surprising. It's a little green here. You can see the 61 and you can see the 51. So the pressure is still on this downside, and you can see the same thing here. We got some lift going on up in here where we went into the sell yesterday, and it's still in the sell, but it's lifting up, and you couldn't take the short because we're in weekly buys here, so it's kind of a neutral for us at the moment. If it gets back into the buy, then it'll perk up. Maybe it's going to go back to 91 or 92. Wouldn't surprise me any, just because of Benny. How you doing? Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So we've been talking about everything. If you want to see anything, we can go back to it. There's no problem. Um, I was just telling everybody here, the one thing that has me not confused, but perplexed, in other words, surprised in a sense, is that I've never seen negotiations like this before with the debt ceiling. Usually they're both acting like they want to get it done, but it seems like the president of the Senate, the majority leader, not the president, but the majority leader of the Senate and the president, says they have no interest in negotiating. That's really strange. So, and they can't pass a bill. That's the weird part. They cannot pass a bill, and only the House has been able to pass a bill. So, this is real stalled out confusion. All right, where do we go from here? We go to Benny. Would you like to see GBP AUD? See what they're doing with that today. I like deviating off, so let's try that. GBP AUD. Right there. And when did it sell? 2 days ago, but it's in the buy, so you don't want to try to go short on anything. You're just not long at the time. Now today it looks like it's trying to get into the buy again right here. And since we are, and the fast is moving up through the zero line, over on J4X, where are you at? Right there. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Let's see what's up with this thing. Oh, again. All right. Okay, so from there, let's see if we can do it this way. Okay, so from there, you see the yellow line is, where's the yellow line? 44, and the green is at 37. So that pressure is on this product. Over here on Chicago Quant, you can see the green line is piercing up. So I'm expecting to see this green line turn up. I'd be surprised if it stayed down like this. Oh, they're talking about it again. The CME group talking about leaving Chicago. They're just concerned about all the I think they want to raise taxes on them or put taxes on them, or there's something like that. And all the exchanges have always been that way. Every time you threaten to put tax on them, they find a way to go. I know that there's serious talk about moving to Texas. They've talked about that off and on now for a bunch of years. Just like the New York used to talk about moving to New Jersey. And if they'll turn the New York Stock Exchange into a museum before they'll pay taxes. That's usually the way exchanges go. They don't like to share with the politicians more than just give them a check once a year or twice a year and say goodbye. That's usually the way it plays out. But yeah, the chairman of the board there is on. Duffy's on there. Firm prepared to leave Chicago if we have to. Yeah, no surprise there. All right. So from there, where we go from there? We go from the GBP AUD, which on our work looks, like I said, let's widen this out a little bit. Looks pretty strong. They keep on trying to knock it down, but it's not doing too good. Like yesterday, they made a new high from the day before. Now today they're above where they closed, and you can see here it's trying to get into the buy with no problem. We'll see if that goes on, because we are in that situation now with the debt ceiling thing. It has everybody confused and sitting to the side on some level or another. What's happening in metals? Let's see what's going on in the metals. $1 to $2 per contract transaction tax? Are they out of their minds, Robin, or what? Wow, that's insane. Totally insane. Especially when the exchange is probably only making like 3 cents a transaction. Oh my God! Looks like the exchanges are moving. I understand it has to be a bill passed by the state. I understand that the city can't get away with raising taxes on someone like that. There's the gold. It's been trying to get into the buy all morning long. Um, you see our math is trying to turn up. It's got a red dot and it's going after the lows as we speak. And we're in the weekly sell. So I put the green line in there for tomorrow. We'll see if it survives today. And there's the gold there. Now let's put it up on J4X. $1 to $2. Oh my God. You guys have gone from the frying pan into the fire. Honestly. From the frying pan into the fire when it comes to mayoral leadership. And there it is there. You can see the yellow line is at 23.4 and the green is at 27. So it's trying to turn up just like ours is right there. See that, Benny? And on a weekly basis, you can see, let's widen this out. So you can see there, on a weekly basis, this thing is the fastest broken underneath with the slow. And so, in other words, when it finally starts to turn up, maybe the metals complex will turn up, but we'll see. So, would you think it'll be into the buy tomorrow? It has the potential. Yeah, it has the potential, but not yet. It's not confirmed. It just shows that's the actions of the moment. You can see right there, just that little spot right there. It's above the zero line. But we're in a weekly sell, so you wouldn't want to take the long anyway. And so in this case here, even if it closed in a buy, it would probably be short-lived. And then it would probably sell off again the next day or something like that. So it's not something you want to invest in at the moment. Unless you do it through binaries or options. If you do it through them, then it's a whole different story because you don't get stopped out. But if you get long and it starts to go down, you get stopped out, and then it pops up again at the end of the day, and you're like, oh man, I was bullish. Let me take a sip of my tea. That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to tell us that it's trying to get into the buy, but it's so early in the day. Wow, Duffy is still on there talking, Robin. No movement on debt deal. Okay, well, Duffy's just talking about the debt deal now. Okay, because I have the sound down. $1 to $2. Well, next thing you know, the exchange will be in Dallas. Wow. Let's see who texted me here. Oh, also Jeffrey did some work, and we have a new IP address. I'll send it over to you. Just send it to me. I'll put it through. He locked it in. Not locked it in. I think he locked it in. I'm not sure. He's going to be over here. We'll talk, and then I'll connect you up with Nina, Robin. What price are you expecting gold to drop to? Not particularly. When we're in a sell and a weekly sell, just figure it goes down. I can show you ways I kind of anticipate price areas, like here where the congestion is right there. I would think that it would drop down into there, between 1900 and 1950, that type of thing, somewhere's in there, 30s or something like that. You can see here the 1950s were a resistance area. You can see it was there, a 50s resistance area. You see a congestion there. So we're probably $10 or $15 away from a possible low before it bounces. But, if the weekly is in a weekly sell and it's in a daily sell, it can do whatever, it'll do its own thing. And support areas will only be short-term lived, Let's see. All right. Yeah, so that's the gold. And that, you know what we should do? Let's go over to the South African Rand real quick and just take a peek at what they're doing with that. Because, I mean, I bet that thing is banging towards the 20s at this point. Probably like 19.5 or 19.6 or something like that. Now that's interesting. It's at 19.2. And let's put it up over here. See if there's a relationship between the two, the gold and the Rand at the moment. I would have thought it would be getting beat up. So maybe not. Okay, so the Rand is at 19.3. Came off of the highs of 19.5 yesterday and the day before. Will they go after it again? It's not looking like it at the moment. You can see it's even getting pushed into the sell. So maybe it'll bottom gold in here. That's why we're seeing that, like my math is trying to turn up in the gold. Right there. You know, we're flirting. Where's that at? No, that's the South African Rand. Where's that? Let's try it again. There we are. And there's the gold. You can see, you know, we're flirting on trying to get going. So maybe it'll bottom it here for a little bit. Hard to say, but it's in a weekly sell, so I'm not the most big fan. I'm not a big fan of trying to reach for it unless you're doing it in a bull spread or a binary. You know, this way you don't get stopped out. Benny says, so 2,000 area isn't a realistic goal anymore. 2,000. Where are we at now? No, it's possible. 1980 maybe. I don't know. Right around that area. Anything is possible. The math will tell us where it's once. Okay, cool. Yeah. So anything's possible. You know, I mean, it's. How do we describe this? You can see the strength in it here. Okay, so it tells us that it's going to try to bottom in here somewheres over the next, couple hours and try to lift back up. That's what it's trying to tell us. And it was much higher this morning. You know, that line is being pressed down. If it starts to go negative, then forget about 2,000 for the time being, especially with it in a weekly sell. So, it's that, and also I think, let me just double check one other thing. But I think this contract may be getting ready to go out too. Let's go look at that at the same time. Where is it at? So in other words, this may be being moved out of the front contract very soon. If not, I don't think it's changed yet. But let's just see where they're at the moment. So right now, the June contract traded 89,000 contracts yesterday, almost 90,000. It has an open interest of 162,000. Now the August contract is, yesterday's volume was almost 27,000, and the open interest is 100,000 more at 261,000. So let's do this. Let's copy this, and let's put an August contract in there and see what the August contract is doing. Remember, delivery in this product is a real challenge. So the futures contract itself, all the gold might move up, but the front month may move down because of the delivery problem. So let's take a look at the August contract and see what that's doing. And see where the weekly is in it and the whole bit, Now, I probably need to clean it up on some level, but at least let's see what they're doing with it. There's August. Yeah, see the August contract, it's still in the buy. Now, I don't know. I have to double check the contract, the whole bit, make sure there's no bad data, the whole thing. But you can see here, the August contract also went into that weekly sell 3 weeks ago. This is the third week now. So you can see that pressure, and it was the slow that got into the minus. So, it led us into all this weakness. And you can see here it's been in the daily sell, but that pop, if that pops right, let me just open up the contract from the exchange side of it. So where's that? There's August. So yeah, see that needs cleaning up. The 18th is screwed up. 18th? What's today's date? The 23rd. Okay. So where's the 18th? That's all screwed up. The high is like over here, so that could knock out that bounce up. Let me see if I can fix that now in front of you, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here. So when we've seen, here, let me remind you, we've seen what happens when someone has to take delivery of something that is very hard to take delivery of. In the case of oil, it's physically demanding to take delivery. Very few people can deal with, it takes professionals basically to be able to deal with that more than just the average trader. And we've seen that with oil, where oil actually the futures contract went minus 39 one day. Minus 31.9. So people were paying $3,900 or $39,000 to get them to take the contract off their hand. All right, so now you look at gold, and we all know that gold is in that same situation in many ways. Gold, there's like delivery of a certificate that says that there's a certificate of gold somewhere else. It's not even, you can't even take the physical delivery. You take a physical delivery of a warrant that claims that it will give you, it at the end of it has gold. That's what's so whack about it. Okay, so I guess we need to start watching both contracts really. 204. And let's see what that. Okay, so 07, that's what it is. 073. All right, there you go. And what was the settlement? Was the settlement right? 78.3. So settlement was just about right. Just need to be changed a little bit. All right, so, and then what happened the next day? It jumped up. Okay, it's not too bad. 98. And then the next day, it's down. Okay, good. Okay, so now we say okay. Okay. And then what we do is we go like this, and it'll adjust it. Let's see how it goes now. And I haven't even checked the back months. I mean, not the back months, back prices. I'm just fixing one up front. That's about it. Let's see what it does there. Yeah, see, it's still in the sell, and it's trying to do the same thing. It's trying to get into the buy right here. The green line is through the zero line. So, I guess it's one way or the other at this point. I would assume that they'll make new lows today, or they'll turn it around and start to try to get back up to the 1980s. It's and not this. This is already at 1980. But the June contract may try to turn up into the 1980s and go after your 2000 again. But we'll see after the European market closes, these things act a lot different. So, all right. I hope that helped you. Did that help you? I hope it did. Try to, figure this stuff out in front of you. I give you my experience. Basically, that's what it comes down to. That is my experience. You like that? You like that, Robin? Because I was just answering Jeffrey, and I just saw that Elon Musk wanted to buy the FBI next, but the Clintons wouldn't sell it. No problem, Ben. No problem at all. And so, let's see, what else can we say? That's pretty much it when it comes to that. Now, where were we? We were looking at South African Rand because I was trying to figure out that's the what can we say about this? The South African. What can we say about that? The South African Rand, is so upside down anymore that it just isn't what it used to be. So we can't really, get much more out of it than that. And that is that. All right. From there, we'll go back to we were at. Oh, I know. We want to go to the Turkish lira. I saw yesterday they had a flash crash in the Turkish lira. Yeah, there was a flash crash in it. But when I went to look at it, the most it did was get back into the buy. It seems like we've been pointing it out. The liquidity of the Turkish lira is really spotty, and so what happens is that someone reaches up, tries to buy or sell, and then it just pukes really bad. They get filled on their order because obviously they really need it. Whoever is buying or selling it really needs it. And what did we do? We missed the yen. Let's go to the yen. There's the yen. Dollar yen doing its best to climb into a new high. Yeah, but look at the daily too. It's doing the same thing like gold, right on the edge, trying to break down again. But it's meaningless really in the sense that we're in a weekly buy, so you're not even going to try to short it. It's probably more than likely, and you can see we got a green and a red going on. So it's probably trying to tell us there's more volatility to occur. And so that's the yen. What else can we say about that? I guess that's about it there. Again, the yen has surprised me on some levels. It does go walkabout. It has a natural tendency to do its own thing. And in this case here, it's obviously, after all that fighting and battling and trying to get into a sell and coming down from the 150s, we challenged almost the 125. We got the 128 or 127 and change, and now you can see here they're bouncing up 50% from where they came down from, right? Like 53. I think they're at 53 high. So you're talking. You got down to 127. What is that? 23, 26. So 13 up would be what? 40, right? That's that. Didn't you ask about 140 in that thing at one point? It would make sense for it to bounce. That would be about the 50 percentile between the two. Alrighty. From there, we go over to the Turkish lira right there. Oh, and I'm just going to put yen up here for a second to see where the lines are to compare it. So the yellow is at 88, and the green is at 86. So it's doing the same thing as we were doing over on Chicago Quant. Let's just go back to that real quick, just to show you. It was down a tenth or 5/10 right there. It's trying to break down just like it is doing right here on Chicago Quant, and just waiting for the hinky ASCII to turn red. Let's see. Mountain West says strength in the yen is increasing today and this week. I know. Well, you can see right there. We've been in a weekly buy. The fast has been in a buy since the beginning of April. Right there, it went into a weekly buy in the 132ish, 33ish area, and then what's that? That is 132 and change. And this one here is 133.70s or 80s or something like that. So, it went into the weekly buy there on the fast. And at the same time went into a daily buy for it. And then the slow joined in, especially when it gets up inside the manifold itself. You know that there's so much pressure, especially with the fast staying above the manifold or staying, that high up. Then it joins in again here. And the next buy, it is just explosive and it pushes it up. I thought it would be over with, but I think we talked about remember they have a new chair of their bank, the central bank. So that goes into committee and there's discussion and insiders know what's going on and all that stuff that we always talk about that drives us all crazy. So yeah, I'm a little surprised that this is all happening. They may be we could say this about that, okay? And that sounds like a Richard Nixon statement, but what we could be looking at is that, as I've said, I've never seen this strange of a negotiations on a debt ceiling ever. Never have I seen anything like this. Never. Usually, at this point they're getting close to a deal, and that's it. Mr. Biden and his party have no interest in dealing with this. They can't even pass a bill. They can't. They can't even pass a bill. In other words, there's nothing to sign. You got to pass a bill so the president can sign it, so it can go into law. So, it's one of the stranger times I've ever seen when it comes to government responsibility. They are irresponsible to a really high degree of insanity, as far as I can tell. Doc. Increase in yen equals weakness in the yen, right? But decrease in dollar yen equals strength in the yen, or vice versa around. Yen dollar, right? Right. So dollar yen, as the yen, as the yen is going up, it's losing against the dollar. And on the daily, you can see here we're making new highs today. High now is 38.24. No, 38.91. 38.91. So we're only 110 away from that 140 area. I mean, that's, and you can see it's trying to break down. We were at 03, now we're at 08, now we're at 07 minus. So it's trying, but the physical itself is above yesterday's close. So yes, you're right about that. So I am saying yen is increasing in strength over the next couple of days. You mean gaining against the dollar? Maybe, I don't know. Right now it doesn't look like it, but the math is trying to tell us that maybe there's going to be a back and fill, and then zoom up even more. That's we're in that weekly buy and daily buy. It looks awful strong, and the daily itself, we've seen it. See, it did here. Where we get into the sell for a day or two, with it making a new high that day from these two, right there. And then it gets, we see some sloppy down action for a little bit, and then it turns back up again, and we get another leg. So I guess in some ways they'll use the supports of this here. If they bring it down, it'll probably support these bottoms in here, somewhere's in here of, what's that, the 137s and a half area, maybe a little bit underneath that, right around there, 137 and a half. So like a full handle down, maybe. That would make sense to me. Yeah. You're long till 140 from 137 and a half. They may go challenge it. I think I would take a little off and keep 2/3 on. Then you could go and buy more again, or take take half off, and then if it backs off for a day or two, you could buy it lower and start over again. So yeah. Let me think. What else can we say about any of this? I guess that's about it when it comes to the that. And so I guess let's see. Where do we go from there? Let's see. I guess we go over to the Turkish lira finally now. There we are. Now, I was talking about the flash crash they had yesterday. Let's see. Mountain says, no, not the dollar yen. It seems to be gaining strength against most other currencies. Ah, what, the yen? Do we have it? I think we have a couple. We have another yen in here, I think, don't we? So you're saying that the yen is out, like there's Swiss, there's dollars, there's Swiss yen. So what are we seeing there? So Swiss yen, as it rises, right? That means that the Swiss is gaining against the yen, but today it's not. GBP yen. Let's see what GB yen looks like. GBP yen. So with it going down, that means the yen is gaining against both of those currencies this morning. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Pairs AUD yen and NZD yen seem to be topping out. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, you can see they're challenging the sell number there, but all of them, wasn't paying attention to the Swiss, but you can see here the British pound. It's been losing against the British pound all the way since March. Went into the weekly buy last week of March, so it went from the 164 area, 163 and a half, 64 area, all the way up to the 171 area yesterday, or 172. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's gaining some strength. Sometimes I've noticed that the yen and the dollar will team up at sometimes, where they both show strength against other pairs trades. Curious. All right. Let's see. Who's left over of all this? Oh, yeah, Turkish lira. Look at those. Another spike, crazy spike again today. It's tried to climb into the buy and failed at it yesterday. Today it's trying it again. And you can see the weekly is very anemic, just on the edges of breaking down, but it has not done it yet. Yeah, that makes sense, Mountain. It makes sense because I've seen that happen too. That makes total sense. I mean, of course I trust you. But I mean, I agree with you. I've seen the same thing happen. Yeah, I've seen that. I agree. It's not far fetched. In other words, it makes sense. All right, let's take a look at CAD. Now CAD is flirted with that triangle today and broke back underneath it. You can see the daily is trying to drop underneath, which means again the dollar is getting stronger, and you can see the weekly. The slow is underneath the zero line as we speak. And that's crazy scissor thing going on there with the fast and the slow. Look at that. Wow. You don't see that every day. That's wild action. Gold just made a crazy spike. Let's go back to it. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we've gone up $6 since we were looking at it a little while ago. It was at 80 on the back contract. Let's go see what the front contract looks like. I think it was down below 60. It was right around 60, so it's up $7.5, $8 also, lifting up very comfortably. Well, we'll see. I think it might want to do a little bounce there. I see the stock market is starting to get hit too, just a little bit, nothing major. We're down in the lows here now. You see that? I would think, I would think they're starting to recognize. Look, I get a feeling that the Biden organization wants to hurt America. That's what they really want to do. I mean, there's no borders. Gold just made a crazy spike. Yeah, that's what Mountain was saying. Oh, that was you had said it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they seem to want to hurt America. They really don't like America. They really want to be socialist. They hate the idea that America is productive. They really are. Well, I'd imagine that we're just going to... And you can see here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not breaking down as much as it has been, but it is in a sell for the last 4 bars. Went into the buy here, had a nice climb up, and that was at like yesterday. When was that? That was 21. So that was like last night. It went into the buy, and was in a buy all the way up until this morning to the European Open, I guess you could say. Then they pushed it into a sell, and you can see here it's tried to lift up and failed, whereas the stock market, let's see, let's put the S&P 500 up on there. There's the S&P 500. It's getting knocked down, and we had a red and green. Now we're cleanly into the sell itself, but the weekly is still strong. Again, I've never seen this type of negotiation go on before. This is some of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen. All right. Yeah, you would think. What are they doing to silver? You would think that they. Excuse me. You would think they would. Now silver's in a buy coming in today. It's been in a buy, but it's gone in the wrong direction, and it's in a weekly sell. So we're stuck in a neutral in the silver. We've been in a weekly sell now for 3 weeks. Was the fast in a sell there too? No. So it's just 3 weeks now. We're in a sell, and at the same time, the daily has been in a sell, and then went into the buy off of this spike there, and now we're just kind of stumbling around. So there's a lot of confusion here. Mountain West says wild debt ceiling negotiations hurt the stock market prices. You know, I said this yesterday. I've been saying it lately. We have a real problem here in the United States. We have a Secretary of Treasury who couldn't recognize inflation for over a year and a half. We have a Fed chairman that was right there with it that could not recognize inflation for a year and a half, and kept on trying to tell us, don't pay attention to it. It's transitory. It's not going to happen. And then we were at 10% out of nowhere. And for the and I hate to pick on China as much as it's easy to do. They didn't move their currency until finally going into March, April, or is it March, May? April, May. Once the Federal Reserve, a year and a half later almost, makes it clear that we have inflation, they finally moved their currency. I mean, the currency, everybody else's currency's affected by it for months. We're talking about it here. Currencies are moving on the inflation. We're seeing it over and over and over again. And the next thing you know is that finally the Fed chairman, the President of the United States, and the Secretary of Treasury finally, after a year and a half, recognize it. All right? Well, everybody's looking at them now like as if they're a bunch of idiots. I mean, money is not respecting them at all. And so, you got the debt ceiling thing going on, and Powell refuses to say a word about it. He's been asked by the media, and he refuses to talk about it. The Secretary of Treasury says, strange things about, we're running out of money. At the same time, we're taking in more tax money than we've ever taken in before in history. So, I mean, yeah, it should scare a lot of different investors on a lot of different levels. It should. It really should. So, yeah, I mean, the stocks themselves almost in some ways don't seem to pay attention to it all. They ran them up to the 21, 42.21 last night on the, let's take a look at it again here. And then I'm going to get out of here. That's Bitcoin. And Bitcoin made the same topping pattern at the same time. You see that right there. They ran it up to 422.50. And now we're trading at 41.88. So we're 34 points down from the highs. You can see we've been in a sell since right here. That one right there. The markets are not sure what to do. I think that's the best way to describe it. They're not sure what to do at this point. And, McCarthy has said to them yesterday, we're working on things. I'm going to go to the president's White House every day and discuss it with him. I'm not going to, not walk away. Well, I don't know if Joe is up for that. If he really is willing to do anything like that. He may just cancel out on some days. And then you could watch how the stocks act. But at this point in time, I've never seen it act like this before. So. All right. Where else are we? I guess that's about it. Anybody want to see anything before we go? Let me just show you silver. We did see silver. Let me just show you some of the other things really quick because I'm going to get out of here. There's copper. You see copper's making new lows. That's just shows you how China is having its issues. You see natural gas has pushed itself underneath in the daily sell at the moment, and it's playing with the weekly sell again now, whereas before it showed life a couple days ago. Look at that. It was up into the 80s or something like that. So, you know, we're seeing some of the strangest things. Like I said, it was the same thing with copper. Copper couldn't even figure out where it was going. Now it's taking out all the lows here. We kind of thought that we'd see 59 or something like that, and it's starting to look that way with the copper. So let's see what platinum's doing, just really quick. Platinum doesn't seem to care. That's the odd part. It doesn't even seem to care. It's in a buy for 3 days now, and the weekly's in a sell for a second week now. So it's just so weird out of all. Let's see. Mountain says 927. So me too. Gotta get out of here. Me too. All right, traders. This is Doc. We'll see you on Happy to Hump Day tomorrow, Wednesday. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Have a safe and smart day.